Good morning. Good morning. In this video, we'll study the chapter The Black Aeroplane by Frederick Forsyth. So before I start the chapter, I would like to tell you that Frederick Forsyth, he was born on 25th August 1938 in England, and he is an English author, a journalist, and an occasional political commentator also. So before he became a journalist, he joined the RAF and he was a jet fighter pilot. So this chapter, The Black Aeroplane, it is a first person narrative. So in this, the author, he is narrating an incident. He is describing an experience. So let's start. The moon was coming up in the east behind me, and the stars were shining in the clear sky above me. There wasn't a cloud in the sky. I was happy to be alone high up the sleeping countryside. So now in this, the narrator, what he says is, the author, he says that when he was flying, so that was the time the moon was it was the evening time, and the moon was coming up in the east. So this means that he was going, when the moon is coming up in the east, that means the author is traveling towards the west. So now what he says is, the moon, when he started traveling towards the west, the more he could see the moon coming up in the east, and he could see that the sky was very clear and the stars were shining very brightly, and there was not even a single cloud that could be seen in the sky. So he was quite happy that time, and it is that he was the only one who was flying, and he could feel that the countryside was sleeping that time, and he was the only one who was flying above the sleeping countryside. I was flying my old Dakota aeroplane over France back to England. I was dreaming of my holidays and looking forward to being with my family. I looked at my watch, 1:30 in the morning. So now in this, what is given here is, in this it is given that this person, he was the narrator, the author, he was flying the Dakota aeroplane, and he was going from Paris, he was going from France to England. And when he was going from France to England, like I told you, the author, he belonged to England. So England is his hometown. So that was the time he was feeling quite happy because he was planning to meet his family. And when he looked in his watch, so that was the time, it was early morning, it was 1:30 in the morning. So I should call Paris control soon, I thought. As I looked down past the nose of the aeroplane, I saw the lights of a big city in front of me. I switched on the radio and said, "Paris control, Dakota DS-088 here. Can you hear me? I am on my way. I am on my way to England. Over." So now in this, what is given here is, when he was crossing Paris. So that was the time he thought that he should call the control room also, and he should tell them about the Dakota that he was flying. So now when he just thought that, so that was the time when he could see lights of a big city in front of him. So he could what he did was, he switched on his radio, and he had to inform the control room also. So he gave them a message that his Dakota DS-088, so he is flying that, and he just is on his way to England. So then after that he completed the sentence, and when these people, they talk over the radio, so this is the way how they talk. They use the word over after completing the sentence. So he also after completing, he said over. The voice from the radio answered me immediately. DS-088, I can hear you. You ought to turn 12 degrees west Now DS-088 over. So now in this, what is given here is the moment he gave the control room the message that he was going on his way, that he was on his way back to England. So that was the time, like he could hear somebody replying from the control room. So he could hear like he was given a message that he has to turn 12 degrees west, and then after that the message was over. I checked the map and the compass, switched over to my second and last fuel tank, and turned the Dakota 12 degrees west towards England. So now what he did was, like when he heard the message, so he did check the map and the compass to see the direction. So what he did was, and he did had a very little fuel, so he did turn on the last fuel that was there in the tank. So after that, what he did was he turned his Dakota 12 degrees towards the west, 12 degrees west, that is towards England. I'll be in time for breakfast. I thought, a good big English breakfast. Everything was going well. It was an easy flight. So now what he says is, like when he was flying, so that was the time, like he turned left when he was given a message. So he turned 12 degrees towards the west. And then after that, what he was thinking was, like he was just thinking that he's going to reach England in time and he's going to have breakfast with his family. So he was just thinking of a big English breakfast, and he thought that the flight was an easy one. Paris was about 150 kilometers behind me when I saw the clouds. Storm clouds, they were huge. They looked like black mountains standing in front of me across the sky. I knew I could not fly up and over them, and I did not have enough fuel to fly them to north or south. So now in this, what is given here is, now when he was like on his way, so he thought that it is like an easy flight and he is going to reach England in time. So like when he has crossed Paris and he was about 150 kilometers away from Paris. So that was the time when he saw when he saw the clouds, the storm clouds were there. And these clouds, they were just like black mountains, and they were there blocking his view of the Dakota 088. So now he just did not have that much fuel also that he could turn north or south, and he could not fly up and over them also, and he could not return back. So he was stuck. I ought to go back to Paris, I thought, but I wanted to get home. I wanted that breakfast. I'll take the risk, I thought, and flew the old Dakota straight into the storm. So now what he did was, like he wanted to go, he thought he could have gone back to Paris, but he did not want to go because he wanted to have the English breakfast with his family. So what he did was, he was willing to take the risk, and he thought that he is going to fly the Dakota into the clouds. So he just there was a storm also, and what he did was, he did not stop, and he took the risk and he flew that old Dakota straight into the storm.